All right, let's get live, family. Let's get live. I tried to get on here at 11. Had to send out a few texts, set up some stuff. Had to kind of update my blog. I got to start blogging again, it looked like. But, it's all cool. Anything for the movement, man. You, you know how we do. So I'm going to send out the black signal as well. Get some of y'all up here with me. Um, the per Ankh situation, per Ankh is canceled for today. And I'm kind of disheartened by that because I kind of think it was, uh, you know, premature. Uh, the night of, you don't give the road people time to get shit together, then make a decision. And you need to make those decisions like in the morning. You can't, not the night before, because we're not facing 0 degrees. I don't think it's 0 degrees out there yet. You know what I'm saying? I don't think um, snow don't stop those people from getting out and getting their weed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, yo, people going to get liquor and shit, and people going to church. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. You know, cause so shit. I just laid in because I was gonna do the show earlier because I was looking forward to going to. Uh, Let me go on and I'm gonna go on and pull up the Uber conference. We're gonna do the toast because I like the energy. You know what I'm saying? I see how it went yesterday, and then I forgot to turn off the goddamn speaker, man. So that's a 5-hour show. I mean, we stopped, but I don't know what the hell happened in my house after cause my shit was on for 5 hours. Let's just put it that way. I was gone. I went to go see Gye-Nyame Journey mentioned you in the comment. All right, we up, we live, family. What's going down today? Of course, we're gonna have discussion about whatever it is that's on your mind. If you want to look at a proverb, if you want to hear a story, if you want to have a discussion about anything, we are here. Right? I'm here. I'm gonna open up the phone lines before we do that because of what happened yesterday. Right? I want to do the toast first. Right? Let's get the ancestors. We don't want to keep them waiting, right? We want to make sure we get the energy. See, because I think part of the issue is that we didn't get the energy of the ancestors in the room, even though it was already there. But we didn't consciously get the energy of the ancestors in the room first. So maybe before, and sometime I might need somebody to help me to remember, Brother Hatem, you need to go and do, you need to go and do the toast. You know what I'm saying? Shots out. I think that's just Navita out there piloting the Gye-Nyame journey. We got Brother Kwame in the house. Gye-Nyame journey shot it out. Patal Ra. We about to get it. Family, make sure you got your glass. We grown folks. We drink out of glasses. Now, if you under 18, I'm gonna even give you if you're under 30, right? And you establish your life and you got to drink out of a plastic cup, it's all good. Shouts out to Miss Shelly. I see you up there. Look, it's all good. Now, once again, for those that's just tuning in, family, the goal today is to do the toast first, then get into the conversation. Because it went down yesterday. If you ain't catch it, you might need to catch it. It went down yesterday. We had a good conversation. Some things were brought to light. Um, and I think anytime, because the key piece that we are discussing in a lot of this is the limits of blackness in a society that was not created by us, right? So I mean that, but then all of the other feelings and shit come off from there because it's like boom, we touching on something that is hard for us to create enough velocity to escape. And it seems like soon as we start getting the velocity to kind of escape this shit, when the engines go out or a nut come loose and shit, and it blows up, and we got to start all over again. But family, lose not faith, lose not, what is it? Lose not faith, lose not courage, go forward, uplift the race. You understand what I'm saying? Because the pieces, see, there I go. I'm running my mouth. Hold on. Let's get this music popping. Y'all know, it start moving on me, family. All right. So I want to welcome you to the Congregation of the Mighty. This is Gye-Nyame Journey Media. This is a Heart of December production, and this is the Daily Toast, where we strive to blow up your old paradigm.
Mr. Kitty.
Drink your water. Come on, drink your water, but first, take your breath and drink some water. Take a breath and drink some water. Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Damn, that feel good. Drink, 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 drink. Or should we say, breathe, breathe, then drink. Now, get your bottle of some water. Get your glass with that water. Twist the cap off your water. Lift and pour that water. Drink, 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 drink. Or should we say, lift, pour, then drink. Now move your body and drink some water. Move your body and drink some water. Come on, stretch. Move your body and drink some water. Now move your body. Drink, 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 drink. Or should we say, move, then drink. Now raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Now raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Now raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Now raise your glass. I can see your comments. Drink, 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 drink. Or should we say, move, then. Now take your breath and drink that water. Lift and pour some water. Move your body, drink some water. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Lift, breathe, move, toast. That was all wrong. Let's try it again. Breathe, lift, move, toast. That was good. Take a breath. Lift and pour and drink. Move your body. Toast your ancestors. Break down. Drink, 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 drink. Take your breath. Take a sip. Move your body. Take a sip. Raise and toast. Take a sip. Drink, drink, drink. Lift, drink, drink, drink. Breathe, drink, drink, drink. I got 21 seconds left. Let's see if we can kill it. Come on, drink your water. Come on. 15. I failed. But you can't get good unless you fail a couple of times, right? So, family, I want to apologize because yesterday, man, I had a bunch of comments that I wasn't able to see until the end. So somewhere along the line, there was a break with the program that I'm using and Facebook, YouTube, because I had 40 comments on Facebook that I wasn't able to see on screen. So I got to figure out how to fix that. And I want to apologize to everybody that was, you know what I'm saying, that were trying to tune in, right, and trying to get into the conversation. Now, when I open up the lines, the number is 614-556-4535. Family, I got enough room for 100 people. I know we don't want to hear 100 people doing like we was doing yesterday, right? So, you know, like I said, I'm going to start being a little bit more liberal on that mute button and stuff like that so that I can go and get everybody in. You know what I'm saying? Because the object is give everybody an opportunity and a space to talk. Because what I'm finding is that a lot of times the internet allows us the space sometimes to actually have some good conversations. And then we could take those crucial conversations and from what we've been discussing, right? Those crucial conversations and have those in person, right? This allows us to get a lot of bullshit out the way. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the things that I started noticing with a lot of organizations that I was forming and a lot of people that I'm dealing with is that bullshit would always get in the way. Oh, I mean, it didn't matter. Didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But I have to realize that what's bullshit to me is fertilizer to another man. So I have to, a lot of times I have to keep my distance. You know what I'm saying? So that I can make sure that I'm able to just keep going because one of the things I don't allow to stop me is I don't allow other people to stop what I'm doing. I build. You know what I'm saying? And I build and I take personal responsibility for what I'm building. So if it falls or if it fails, I'm responsible. I don't mind having responsibility. I don't mind being the one that people can say, oh, he messed up on that. You know why? Because one, that gives me opportunity to hone and perfect the skill. And second, that shows that at least I had something that a lot of people don't have, and that's the courage to do. Right? We got a lot of people standing on the sidelines and be, you know what I'm saying? But I always look at those ones that's doing it and be like, shit, at least they doing something. At least they doing something. So Sister Shelley says 29 degrees. That's not wintertime. I mean, shit, we got a reprieve. Really, think about it, family. After Thanksgiving, from Thanksgiving until yesterday, we had a reprieve. This, I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is January weather. So we all should already know that this is January weather and got to it. So let me go and finish this water so I go and, if people want to call in, we can have conversations about whatever y'all want. I want to make sure I'm still getting messages. Shouts out Miss Kim Carswell's in the house. We got somebody, the family is getting international. Sister Tiandra is in the house. You know what I'm saying? Miss Sister Tiandra, I'm riding around with this prize in my, we got to talk. You got to get, I'm going to have to track you down and give you your prize. Because this is getting ridiculous, right? But I understand you busy, right? You have the courage to do, right? And so you're doing. I can dig it. So family, now, basic rules before we get into the libations. First off, remember we start off the day with the water. You know, sometime on these late days, I know that, y'all ain't waiting to drink no damn water with me. Y'all handling your business. But on the weekdays when we are up early, we start our day off with water. Then we move to a health drink. And we use that health drink to toast our ancestors, and then we complete the health drink. Now, in Gye-Nyame, we talk about the 4 pillars of health. What are the 4 pillars of health? And I feel I have to go on and always remind y'all about this. The 4 pillars of health. First pillar, breathing. Most important pillar. We often overlook it because it's just something that happens naturally, but breath keeps us alive. Breath allows our body to function. And improper breathing leads to sickness. So we need to take some time during each day to consciously breathe. This is why with Gye-Nyame we talk about the 2-2-4 self-help process, right? We got to spend at least 2 hours a day on us, working on us, and nation building, and tribe building, stuff like that. but mainly 2 hours on improving your skill, improving you. And I think some of that time should be focused on breathing. There's plenty of books out there. I got a video out there about it. There's 100,000 videos out there about it. But family, breathing is important, and you will be surprised how many small diseases, I ain't gonna say small, how many diseases are caused by people not breathing properly. Right? Next one, water. Water, right? Boom. Once you got to breathe in the water, water is something else that we overlook. You don't miss it till it's gone. But a lot of us are suffering from dehydration, and because we're suffering from dehydration, we get a lot of diseases. Just letting you know. A lot of autoimmune diseases, right, family? I mean, some of the shit, a lot of this stuff that we're experiencing because one, I'm about to get into the next step, but one, improper breathing, not drinking enough water, real water, not that shit with chemicals in it. We need to find real sources of water, family, so that we can stay healthy. So one, air, breathing, proper breathing, conscious breathing. Wake up and breathe, right? Not this sleep breathing we be doing. Some of y'all be breathing. Consciously sit down and focus on your breath for at least 5 minutes, please, family. Next, water. Drink half your weight in water in ounces. Let me explain. If you weigh 100 pounds, right? If you weigh 100 pounds, drink 50 ounces of water. If you weigh 300 pounds, drink 150 ounces of water a day to help your body, right? Boom, keep your body hydrated. Next one is eating a culturally appropriate diet. Now this right here, simple as it sounds, is not simple. You need to go on, if you know you are of African descent, there's this thing called the African Heritage Diet. Family, read up on it. It's some serious stuff, right? A lot of us are not eating culturally appropriate foods, so we suffer cultural inappropriate diseases. A lot of diseases we getting are coming from us being culturally inappropriate. What more can I say? Right? Add some palm oil to your diet. Add some coconut oil to your diet. Add more leafy greens to your diet. Find out different ways to cook it. Add different type of fish to your diet. You know what I'm saying? And some fresh caught fish, because a lot of this fish that's coming out the stores is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of grains and stuff that we have a cultural relationship with that we need to really start exploring so that we can stay healthy. Last but not least, culturally appropriate movement. Now, I had to throw the culturally appropriate in there because some of us are moving culturally inappropriate. Now, I'm talking about conscious movement as far as exercise and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of taking the elevator, take the steps every now and then. Instead of calling your coworker, walk over to their office. You know what I'm saying? Instead of taking a ride to your car, walk to your car. You know what I'm saying? Just staying physically active, consciously moving. And then also culturally appropriate movement. Are all the movements that you're making culturally appropriate? I ain't just talking about picking up a glass of water. I'm talking about like some of the conversations that you're having, some of the stuff that you are doing. Is it culturally appropriate? Right? Because when we start aligning ourselves with our culture, we start aligning ourselves with our power, and we start being able to plug into a force of energy that's out there. It's like, our ancestors are waiting for us. Damn, I was supposed to do the toast. I'm sorry. I can't start running my damn mouth. All right, let me see. Is anybody on the line? I know somebody probably on. I don't want to keep people waiting and shit. Just checking the lines right now. Ain't nobody up there right now, so I'm cool. All right. All right. Here go another. Man, this batch of ambrosia made me proud, right? I think I might have figured out how to keep it from totally just blowing out the bottle. Y'all hear that shit? Did y'all hear that? Oh my God. I added a heavier tea. Y'all hear that? Oh man, ancestors gonna get it today. All right, family. First off, call on the Creator by whatever name you choose to call it. Creator, we call it great force, that great power. We lift up our glass and we salute that Creator, and we say, Ashe. All right, excuse me. I hear you with the walk to your car, bro, Hatem. But this weather ain't culturally appropriate. You right about the weather not being culturally appropriate, but if everybody come from months, right, we got to have an inclination for this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because it's like we are the most resilient people in the world. You right, this weather is not culturally appropriate, but you know what else is not culturally appropriate? And y'all gonna get mad at me. Hot showers. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Because like we do have an ability to stand the cold, and as a matter of fact, we need to learn how to operate in the cold, especially those of us that call ourselves awake, those of us that call ourselves conscious. You know why? Because when they gonna strike us the hardest is gonna be during the wintertime. You know why? Because black folks shut down during the wintertime. So we need to learn how to operate in this cold. This cold is nothing to us, right? I mean, really, take a cold shower. After the fifth time of you doing it, ain't gonna be shit. My fault. It is gonna be, yeah. It is still, yeah. Especially when it hits you right here. You let it sit right here for a minute. You get that ice cream burn. I mean, you can induce that, right? But what cold water and coldness hitting your body does, it forces your body to start burning fat, right? Which is culturally appropriate. A lot of our bodies are swelling up in the way that we're swelling up because we are not giving our body a reason to burn fat. Those cold morning showers, or those when we used to have to take baths before, all the heating up with the water, we used to have to use cold water. That used to stimulate us. So you're right. Walking in the cold might not be culturally appropriate, but neither is hot showers all the damn time. Per Ankh is canceled. The weather. I'm committed to just that all 2019. Request to hold me accountable, brother Hatim. All right. All right. You talking about the four pillars of health. I was coming to Prague. Yeah, I was coming to Prague too. I'm never busy, always free. Uh-oh. I hear you with the walk to your bro. Okay, we talked about that. Uh, well, yeah, try. All right, family. I am getting the text right now. But at certain points in time, it might cut off. So please, I don't want nobody to think that I'm ignoring the messages and stuff like that because I try to read them. But we just toasted up the creator. Let's get to the stars of the show. We want to toast fabulous, magnificent, and marvelous ancestors. I was really looking forward to Prague today because we was going to add another ancestor to the list. But me and Elder Tony have already discussed this, and he's going to do what he needs to do as far as ritually, and I will be adding one of our elders to the list who just recently made a transition. I like to give the family an opportunity to decide on whether they want the person on the list, because sometimes for people that's not really ready for it, them hearing a person's name every day can be hard for them, right? So sometimes it takes some time for people to adjust, and I want to give people the opportunity to do that, right? So we lift up our glass to our ancestors, and we get to the list. Miles Brown, Miss Ann, Robert Texas, Davis, Herman Brown, Senior, Rosalie Tilly, George and William Walter, Christopher Fanny Gaston, Eileen, Uncle Chris on Fiend, Cleveland, Geneva, Brown, Margaret Ellis, Wash Ellis, Cecil Ellis, Brown, Gina Gaines, Herman Brown II, Barbara Twiggs, Wash Ellis, Junior, Katie Ellis, Nikki Ellis, Demond Jones, Jeremiah Tappan, John Falar, Montague Pittman, No More X, Pet Mount, Rob Malika Fakur, Dr. Marianne Williams, Kojo Kamal, Elder Farmer, Elder Millie Dixon, Tony Clark, Pastor Yusuf Western, Elder Ajani, Elder Ron Coleman, Elder Robert Donaldson, Alfred Brofro, Hector Jr., Jay Edwards, Carl Harris, Grace Lundy, Inez Harris, William Bill Moss, Phyllis Rose, Sterling and Lucy, right there, Gail Pullian, the Luxor brothers, Miss Eda Brooks Crawley, Miss Marie Nelson, Mr. Frederick Crawley, Sr., Miss Jerry Bunsen, Mr. Alonzo Johnson, Miss Marie McDowell, Janice Foster, Charles Jordan, Kel Smith, Walter Smith, Walter Smith, Richard Triggs, Francis Johnson, Mary Franklin, Jimmy Williams, Daniel Ford, George Gibson, Nana Loretta Clark, Inez McCrae, Fritz Clark, Frankie Justice, Katie Justice, Derek Renderman, Virginia Rogers, Reverend James Smith, Lois Henderson, Calvin Spratling, Mary Elizabeth Walker, Raymond Walker Sr., Sarah Jane Carter, Michael Ford Jr., Kellen D. Russell, Susie B. Smith, Teresa Clay, Melvin Dale Hodge Jr., Herman Copeland, Mildred Copeland, Jenny Clay, Bird Beatty, Sarah Weller, Be the Farmer, Ago Sue, Shell Harvey, Aunt Charmaine, Aunt Evelyn, Deolis Hasbury, Harvey Asbury Sr., Leonard Dickinson, T.C. Islam, Terrell Dunbar, Will Thomas, Sarah Berry, Mark Walsh, Merle B. Thorne, Pearl G. Thorne, Ida Johnson, Florence M. Carter, Joanne Thornton, Patricia Lewis, Juanita Wright, Robert Wright, George Wright, Mary Eliza Frederick Davis, May Elizabeth Rogers, May Esther Keachler Reese, Linda Watson Hammonds, Jarrell Giles Watson, Sparrow, Slimmy, Selvin Lewis, Andrew Holmes, Pearl Moore, Percy Moore Jr., Mildred Owens, Booker T. Bolden, Charlie Hunt, Sammy Stover, Hilda Pearson, Sturgeon Thornton, Richard Thornton, Lavinia Hall, Freeman Banks, May Moss, Ophelia Peacock, Willie Thornton, Napoleon Kennedy, Mark Ramsey, Paul Ramsey, Matt Ramsey, David Ramsey, Charles E. Thornton, Frankie Quells, Urania Thornton, Bernice Quells, Ernestine Jackson, Frankie Johnson, Teresa Mormon, Leon Johnson, Charles Bell, Vivian Ramsey, S.C. Johnson, W. Johnson, Leon Johnson, James W.S. Sr., James Parham, Dana Jones, Henry World, James Farmer, Mary Chavez, Leon Grace, Bessie Johnson, Hattie Levester, May Moreland, Paul Moreland, Elder Caleb, Rosemary Martinez, Elder Amitep Wellman, Fred Douglas Triggs Sr., Thelma Triggs, Thomas and Lula Berry, Lacey Allen, Ohio, Frankie Russell and Davis, Fred Douglas Triggs II, Bina Triggs, Reverend Eddie Moore, Helen Fuller, Eugene Jackson Sr., Richard Ellis, Silas Alexander, Charles Maxwell, Percy Alexander, Arthur Reynolds, Stanley Lockhart, Ricky Lockhart, William Lockhart, Woodrow Lockhart, Brenda Porter, Deacon Hargrove, Carlos Sawyer, Andrew Parker, Doris Donald, Ellis Murphy, D'Amico Russell, Diddy Mon, Aries, Jean and Ruth Jones, Jana Callahan. William Walter West, Nigella Parrish, Elder Basiji Falani, Jim Robinson, Gladys Johnson, Valerie Clark, John and Mary Sullivan, Dirk Johnson, Antonio Johnson, Delise Waters, DeFridas Hines, Inez Bostic, Edna Bostic, Winifred Scannell, Barry Wilson Headley, Elmer Hines, Phyllis Lee, Eugene Spratling, Calvin Spratling, Charles Wooden, Penny Brown, Roy Lee, Printup Jr., Miriam Johnson will belong my ears, Katney, Janice Carter, Michael Carter, Leon Peanut Carter, Margaret Carter, William Carter, Lisa Jordan, Charles Lee Mosby, Dorothy R. Blair, Ransom Evans Sr., Sam Evans Sr., Nalon Blair Sr., Edward Stevens, Sue Ann Stevens, Joe Davis, Timothy Butler, Gene Holmes, Dana Jones, Peter Charles, Christy Nichols, Cardinal Robinson, Rosemary Charles, Ada Pearl, Bob Ingalls, Jack Wallace, Warren M. Finch, Warren P. Finch, Tim Ingalls, Audrey Finch, William Billingsley Jr., Jennifer Sensabaugh, Hazel Gaston, Jerry Brantley, Brian Watson Jr., Kaniko Parsons, Jason Kathy Bradford, Thomas Bradley, also known as Uncle Buki, also known as Gypsy, Reverend Reservoir Word the First, Stacy Trice, Frank Smith, Mother Bertha, Michael Leonard, David Brown, Ruth Carter, June Cox, Ruth Cox, Paula Cox, Ronald Irvin, Judy Hubbard, Irene Johnson, Francis Boots Jefferson, Dan Wilkinson Sr., Emma McClendon, Jerry Doyle, Mina Robinson, Mary Nichols, Patricia Williams, Shabaka Teray, Greg G. 2 Gibson, Donna Hill, Richard Cleavers, Lee Irby, Tommy Irby, Boy Irby, Jim Gaucher, George and Hallie Johnson, Archie and Margaret Armstead, Diane Scott, Erica Armstrong, Claire Fox, Gene Evans, Archie Beck, Anna McGill, Charles McDaniel, Christine Cottrell, Aunt Becker, Alice Arnold, Arthur Arnold, Hattie Reed, Charles Reed, Eula and Andrew Baker, Patricia and Edwin Brooks, Gwendolyn and Bob Hatch, Kimball Vernon, Bradley Kim, Janie Harry Tubman Cates, Spencer Sturgis, Sally Mae Baker, Ethel Baker, Creola Baker, Geneva Baker, Aaron Nino Baby Hatch, Hatch Sr., Mally Miller, Housie Hatch, Dad Cleveland, Mother Gibson, Alex Nixon, John Bowie, Lester and Rachel Saunders, Doretha Ross, Viola Ross, Robert Nelson, Francis Stevenson, Leroy Stokes, Lily Johnson, Fletcher Swan, Maddie and Charlie Scott, Ida Casey, Thomas Cofer, Vivian Stevenson, Mona Ann Lewis, Cornetta Lyman Lewis, John Jackson, William Dallas Lewis, Mary Francis, Chappelle Jackson, Michael Slade, Joanne Perkins, Richard Jackson, Martha Ford Dawson, Big Mama, Nanny Harris, Eva Ford, James Harrison, Margaret Towns, Mary Williams, Leroy Q. Heath Sr., Albert Moore, Miss Vanilla, Alvis Motley, Geraldine Elizabeth, Douglas Thompson, Arlington Houston, Led Alls, Elijah Alls, Jerome Alls, Henry West Staten, Joe Jamel Alls, Ann Pierce, Donald Carter, Lily Green, Nathan Green, Bat Vaughn, John Dewey, Ruth Beard, Tim Butler, Ramey, Laura Newton, J.B. Foggy, Thomas Newton Sr., Barbara Naeem, Jeanette Sanders, Jerry C. Sanders, Roy Pruitt, H.J. Bradley Sr., Henry Wilson, Rufus Jenkins, Minnie Wilson, Catherine Sanders, Muriel Ellis, Elizabeth Sanders, Henrietta Irby, Mildred Armstead, Margaret Armstead, Catherine Anthony, Ruby Brown, Charles Walker Sr., Charlie Walker, Cecil Russell, Diane Irvin, Haroon Phillips, William Ford, Margaret Logan, Phyllis Barnett, Lee Urban Sr., Michael Urban, Ozella Watson, Hugo Watson, John Caldwell Sr., Robbie Lee Caldwell, Nevaeh Mitchell, Ron McCormick Sr., Sabrina Easley, Rashawn Easley, Javea McCormick, Barbara Ann Reed, Dorothy Ann Reed, John Reed, Shechem Aha Reed Jr., John Reed Jr., Patricia Reed, Edward R. Benson Sr., Ethel H. McNair, Lois Fernandez, Jacqueline Broadus, Reginald Oliver, Mazarine Cooper, George Swan, Imani Grayson, Charles Scott, Charles H. Scott, Michael Morgan, Charlene Morgan, Sybil Edwards McNabb, Annie Ferguson, William Ferguson, Shelby McClendon, and family. We have room for your ancestors. We have a new book, and this one looks like it's going to last because that last one lasted us almost, it didn't go quite a year, but it was good. But we have room. So if you want your ancestors listed, all you gotta do is inbox me a Gye-Nyame Journey. So you can Gye on Facebook or even on YouTube. Hell, I guess on Periscope because I might be able to get the messages too. I might get them late, but I'll get them. All right. So here we go. We have Joella Giles. We have James Carswell. We have Liberta Adams. Known to my family as, or known to those in my generation of family as Aunt Sis. I actually didn't know her name until after she passed away because I had to ask my mom because the only thing I knew her was Aunt Sis my whole life, right? And you'd be like, wow, they actually had a name. I hope I ain't the only one that felt like that. But family, we lift up our glass and we salute our ancestors. And I'm glad that we have them all together, and like I said, I like to envision them at a great big table, feasting and having a good time. You know what I'm saying? So I lift up our glass for our ancestors that are looking down on us and are counting on us. Because like I said, if I like mythology. In my mythology, we all come back through our own bloodline. So we're responsible. They're depending on us to make sure our bloodlines are around so that they can, you know what I'm saying? So that they could be part of it. So they could come back. All right. We got a caller, so I'm gonna let them on. I'm almost done with the toast, so I'm gonna ask them for some patience. All right, we almost done. Oh, this is Miss Kim. We almost done with the toast. So we lift up our glass for those ancestors and we say, I say. From their family, we move to the present moment. And right now, we are on Imani. I don't have on an Imani shirt. I wanted to get to the show. So we are on Imani. For those that don't know the language, today is the day of faith. It's a harmony. The Imani principle of the day is harmony. The M7, what we teach young people is trust. The color is red. I don't have on any red. I apologize. Gender is the Hermetic law. Male name for the day is Kwesi. Kwesi is your day. Female name is Akashua. I'm trying to get it right. So we lift up our glass and we say, I say to the present moment, because all our powers in this moment, family. We got to take advantage of this moment. We got to make this moment work for us. And we got to work for this moment to make sure that we're able to lay the foundation for our children. We lift up our glass and you know what we say? We say, I say. From their family, we move to our future generations. We toast our children, our children's children, onto infinity. We are responsible for the next 7 generations. But family, I'm toasting all the way out to infinity because I know we have always been and we shall always be. And we call it and we declare it now by shouting out Ashe. From there on, family, we move on and we go to all of our relations and we say Ashe. From there, family, this is your time. This is your libation. What is it that you need in your life? What is it that you want to manifest in your life? Right now is your time. Go and make it happen. All right? Toast you in this moment. Ashe. Last but not least, I toast the most beautiful, powerful, most inspiring individual in the room. You know who that is. Go on. Don't look around. Don't be shy. It's you. And we say Ashe. Right? And I got to get my little clicker. Ashe. Ashe, Ashe. Family, I wish you peace, power, joy, and 100 years. Right? So right now, so now, family, conversation can commence. Let me go and get me. Elder Tony West. All right, the number to call in is 614-556-4535. Once again, the number to call in is 614-556-4535. I'm going to type it in here so that people can get it. 614-556-4535. I know some people are like, well, what's the conversation piece? What's up, Brother Kwame? Whatever you want to talk about. You know, because I have, what we need to talk about, I believe will pop up during the conversation. So let's go and wrap the tapes. Let's go hash it out. Let's go and talk about it. I mean, so much stuff going on in the world today, you know, so I'll leave it up to you. Let me put the call in number in here, 614-556-4535. Ah, there we go. So we got the call in number on Spreaker. We got the call in number. Let me make sure it's up on Facebook. Call in. Somebody, who is it? How you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm good. Yes,
Who this?
Lady J.
What's up, Lady J? Long time no hear. What's going on?
Not much.
So it's open subject. We call it Toast and Talk. I am sipping on some ambrosia right now. My health drink of choice. What is your health drink of choice, Lady J?
H2O.
H2O. Okay. That's the best of health drinks. So is there something particular you want to talk about, Dave?
Yes, there is.
Hit it up.
If we don't know where we've been, we have no way of knowing where we are.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What made you think about that?
I'm grabbing her car seat, putting it in the car. So grab her. I'm sorry.
I said, what made you think about that?
I don't know if y'all want me to go in on this topic, but it was R. Kelly.
I mean, hey, listen, everybody's on R. Kelly shit. I mean, I might as well join the, might as well. My mind's telling me no. But go ahead, Lady J.
So I am, I am not in no way going to advocate or support or make excuses for this man's behavior, right?
Right.
But I am going to say this. I've read quite a bit of literature. Um, and one thing that I I recall just even from seeing some movies, um, immediately following slavery and talking about, and even though from a little bit of my family history that I know, I know that that it was not uncommon for young girls to marry older men and be married off to them by.
Ooh, Lady J, you bringing it today, cause hey, cause listen. So now Lady J is bringing up some because I mean, because I think one of the things that now, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that Lady J might be kicking back on is the fact that a lot of people want to just focus on this as it's just an R. Kelly problem, rather than a community problem, rather than a black
No,
folk
no,
problem.
no, no, no. Yeah, but this is the thing. During our past, we have experienced. You have the King Deluxe store. We have experienced times with the highest marriage rate and the lowest. Yep. Hello.
I mean, I'm listening.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about. So. Uh, I'm thinking about the fact that when we did this historically, I'm thinking about a book that I read. And like I said, I know that this is true for my family as well. Uh, the young lady comes of age, right?
Uh-huh.
She was being raised by her grandmother. And this book is, I'll tell you the name of it in a minute, but it's a classic. And so she's being raised by her grandmother. The minute she comes of age, grandmother really can no longer provide for her. So what grandmother does is grandmother goes and finds her a husband, and she marries her off, right?
Right.
Let's see if it's in the back. The daughter doesn't know that the daughter doesn't necessarily know her husband. But I remember the book that grandma is like, he has a farm, he has 3 mules, he has 12 chickens. You know, he's going to be able
Take care of you.
to care for you, and
Right.
I can no longer care for you. Right? So she marries the man, and she ends up divorcing him. She marries like several. I want to say it was their eyes were watching God. Their eyes were watching God. And that's one of my favorite tales. But anyway, it was it was not it no, it was customary. You know what I'm saying? And it oh no, should be okay. Uh, that's just kind of how it happened. But with, like the marriages lasted longer because it wasn't like they married for love. You know what I'm saying? You married because it was what you were supposed to do. We didn't want any bastard children. And then you grew to love, and that's why your marriage stayed longer. Instead of cohabitating with and the kind of some of the practices that we have now that contribute to our marriages not lasting as long,
Mm.
right? And a whole lot of bastard children. And so, uh, one thing, there were two things that stood out to me. The first thing was all this talk about um, men and younger women just reminded me of our history. And that historically, that is what happened in the community. And though it may have not been, this idea that once you become a woman, you come of age, this is what happens. Though it may not make sense to us now, it makes sense back then. And it helps stabilize our community. It helped stabilize our community. It helped have families. We had families in our communities. The second thing was, which is why I'm happy that this documentary did air, because there are things that we never talk about in our community, and one of those would be it's like taboo, right? We know it happens, but we don't talk about it. And this whole molestation with males, boys being touched, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna still focus on R. Kelly and his the I don't know what to call it, but we're gonna focus on him. But really, our conversation in our community should be centered around some of that abuse that he and his brother discussed, right? And not just abuse of males, but abuse within families,
Mm.
kids, the abuse that takes place in families, incest, things of that sort. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about we will shame and talk about how sick and twisted white folks are, which they are in many aspects, but we will not discuss some of those taboos and some of those things about our families that are just not right. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And I
Mm.
feel like I appreciate. I haven't watched the documentary. I'm not gonna lie,
I haven't watched
but
it either. I'm not gonna
yeah.
watch it.
I
But
ain't watched it either.
from the commentary, those were some of the things I thought about. I just thought about we're judging what this man is doing, but really, if we knew our history, we know historically this is what we did. And I'm not justifying his actions, but I'm just saying the way that we're frowning upon it, we don't understand that was something that kept our community stable in the past with this idea. I mean, with how they married off their young children.
Now,
And it's sad to say it, but it
no,
was.
but not now,
Well,
now what you're saying is married them off. What we saw was tricking them off here because there was no marriage. I mean, now the Aaliyah piece, because I'm not even clear on this whole Aaliyah piece, right? But what we see is basically people whoring their children off. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's not what our ancestors practiced. It's like I'm
Yeah,
giving
no,
you
no, 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 no,
right,
no, no, no. And that's why I said it. I don't want to. I don't want to say that that's what he did because it's not. But
right.
what I'm saying is a lot of people are frowning their noses about young,
Oh
like this
yeah,
idea of older
but
men with
and we went
younger
right.
girls. And I'm saying that that piece, that piece has been there.
Have been there and
I
has right.
mean,
Go ahead. Cause I mean y'all wait, women will be able to speak because y'all women, y'all be able to speak on that more than somebody
well,
like
I
myself.
think it goes both ways. But I remember being in high school, and a lot of us had boyfriends in college. Once we were like juniors and seniors, we had boyfriends in college. So I don't, I think when a person is in their 20s, especially with men, according to the science, they don't mature as fast as females do.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't uncommon for us to be 17, um, and our boyfriend be in college, 16, and our boyfriend might be in college. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I was not, I had a boyfriend that was 19 or 20. I was 16. Then when I was 17, I had a boyfriend that went to, I think he was his second year in Central State.
You know what they
You
call that?
know,
You know what they call it, Navita? They don't use this term that much no more. I ain't heard this one in a long. You was fast.
May, December.
You was fast.
No, that's
Oh,
how that
fast.
was. But the difference between
That's what
what we
all
were
of us
doing
had, because we were more mature at that
than the
age
men
than
our
most
age.
boys. So, we had boyfriends in college.
Not,
I
not,
mean, it
and
was
I'm
so
not.
common.
Don't
No
get
one
me.
even looked down on
Nobody
us.
even look
Like,
down on
oh,
it.
The diff-
But
I
there's a
think one of the differences is that R. Kelly, we could there's a difference between being a predator. You see what I'm saying? And praying in order to manipulate or take advantage. But that still takes place today too.
oh
You
shit.
know,
We
but
but
know
see,
that
the
shit
thing
he
with
take
the
he
R.
place.
Kelly piece, do we know that he's a predator outside of the Aaliyah thing? How do we know this? Because we don't have any proof other than what people have said. And the videotape, I don't know why for the life of me people act like this VHS tape was so clear. I remember that tape being so grainy, they were trying to debate if it was him or his brother in
No,
the
no, no.
videotape at one
But
time.
Navita, let me say it in all honesty. Now, I didn't see a grainy one, right?
That shit was
But hold
grainy.
on, let me
We
say
all
this.
had the same
But
tape.
but hold on. I'm gonna just say this. I mean, it's like I 9 million motherfuckers can't be wrong. Well, I guess they could because
Yes,
we.
they can because we had half of the country that was wrong. It said black people was had what 3/5 of a human being.
Oh goddamn, she went back
So
to ancient
numbers
history.
don't equal correctness
You right.
at all.
You right.
but that's not.
And the thing
I
about it
gotta
is
say
with the
this,
tape
Sister Lavita.
also, because I'm gonna say this about the tape also, because I took it to work and showed it to everyone. If you look at the court documents regarding the tape, the reason because the girl said that it wasn't her, so they produced this tape to prove it wasn't her, that it was her. I'm sorry, in the tape, and she was underage, but they couldn't convict him because the tape was so damn grainy they couldn't make out if it was her.
I thought the
It's
I
in
thought
the
the
case.
family I
It's
thought
in
the
the
family
case
stuck the
file.
charge. I thought the family dropped the charges.
They had to drop the charges because the family they wanted to try to pick it up without the family because they said it wasn't her. So they tried to do it with just having using the tape. I just read this recently, and
But
so on the tape was so grainy though that they couldn't convict him on the tape because the family's testimony they was like it ain't even her. They didn't want nothing to do with it. So he could have paid them off or something, or it could have been her. I
oh,
don't know,
it's
but I
about to go
remember the tape.
down.
And I'm not going to say that tape was grainy as shit. I remember it. I took it to work. I called everybody over. We was in a building. We pumped that sucker in, and let me tell you, I watched it with a bunch of yogis at the time. And them white folks didn't know who R. Kelly was really, and none of this. They was not. They heard about it, but they wasn't really, fans. They was white folks,
Now
and they looked at that tape. They couldn't read it. They was like, "This is blurry." I remember the conversations we had,
you had a cheap tape.
but
I'm just
okay. But I don't know if
I
he
don't know.
did. I mean, the Aaliyah thing we know about.
Right. No, see, but
And
I'm
then
not
the
even
other
far as
accusation,
that piece, far as that piece, I'm not really clear on the extent of that relation. See, because like you said, a lot of this is secondhand. Now, my issue
He married the girl. He married the
is
girl.
that is that is that is that
right?
is a legal fact. Is that a legal fact?
I believe
Because
so. I believe he
now,
married the
I
will
girl. And
we
believe
they
it
wait,
say
hold
that they
on.
because
might have.
Now I got a question.
Yeah.
I
Do
think
we
I think he did, but like you said, I just went by what I've heard everybody else say that he did marry her. To be honest with you, I never looked it up
and
to
I
see if
never
it was true.
cared.
Didn't they say that they
I
got it
never
annulled
cared.
a year later?
I don't know if they
I
got it.
remember hearing that.
Now this, but now that the Leah piece is a little bit different because at least he did marry her, right?
I said, say no. I'm taking
I'm,
my say back.
I'm just saying he married her. That's a little bit
I
different
don't
than the
know.
predatory behavior. Now she was young. I don't know how much younger she was than him, but was she of legal
Because she
Let
was
age?
me
supposed to
tell
be
y'all something.
15, he was 27, but Marvin
Damn.
Gaye was 33 and Janice was 15.
Who?
Now he
I don't
claimed
want to tell y'all
Marvin
how old
Gaye's
my
wife.
mama and daddy was. I don't want to tell you how
Oh
old my
shit, we
mama and
got a
daddy
whole
was, but
listen.
she was definitely not 18, and he was definitely in his 30s.
God
She
damn.
was, she was 18. I take that back. She was 18, and he was in his 30s.
Oh, 18, she was legal.
And they, and, and until it, I said eight. Well, she was already with him first. She turned 18. I just came along at 18. I just came along with 18, but I will say they was together from then up until she died at 32.
Mm.
Okay.
Listen. And
It's
brother Kwame say you got to care enough to verify what we are saying because I mean because now
Right.
we got to be honest. Is anybody in this conversation really caring enough about R. Kelly? Because I honestly believe that the discussion that we need to be having need to be leaning a little bit more towards what Lady J hit on was
What
the
her
fact
initial
that
thing
that
was.
that 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 we have these type of behaviors going on in our community, but yet we refuse to have these family discussions and really deal with some of these individuals that have problems. You know what I'm saying?
so
Right.
let me say this. Let me say this, Tim. This is the other thing that I thought of while this discussion is going on. Chris Stokes, we know them boys came out and said that he was having sex with them, and they also talked about how their parents were whoring them out. How they were telling their parents they didn't want to go to this man's house. How their parents had been promised so much money, so much fame,
Who is
and if these
this?
kids were basically
Well, yeah,
Chris
who is this?
Stokes,
Who's
B2K,
that?
Oh yeah, I remember. Look,
Oh, I
oh
heard
man, they
about
played
that.
them
Marcus
Okay.
kids so
Houston,
bad.
all
But
of
go ahead.
them. And we know that he was preying on them boys and having sex and molesting and raping. But that's what I said. When it comes to boys, we
Oh, we
don't
don't look at that shit.
why won't we have the conversation? Nobody wants to have the
Nope.
conversation when
Oh,
someone is
Right.
raping and molesting boys.
Africa Bambaataa.
oh shit. Oh, there's a whole shit, and he got a lot
Africa
of,
Bambaataa, straight up.
you know.
You
So,
know?
oh, but wait, we got somebody from on a 260 number. Who is this? And we also got Sister Tiandre on the line. Who's calling from
This is
260?
Sister Shelly Ives.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Africa Bambaataa. Nobody. But now, when it comes to boys, there's a whole different process in how our minds look at it and treats it because we
Right.
don't want to take that shit seriously. And then it comes, they're not really victims.
But then, but then we'll take these girls who we just said, I'm just being honest. We will take girls who don't look their age, that are interested, that are positioning themselves for men that are older,
Right?
and we'll call them victims.
Right?
We'll call them victims. Women who are willingly participating, because my understanding, none of these women were forced; they were willingly participating.
Right?
Well, I think the women in the
Are
house
they
were of
women or
age,
are they
though, but I don't know
girls?
the story. I don't know.
Well,
I
well
think the
let,
women in the house were of age. The women in this house are not in question of being underage, I thought. But I don't know, because I
Okay,
ain't seen the documentary. But
I
that's
don't
what
even
I
care
thought
about.
when I heard it
I
on the
mean, I'm
news.
not.
When I heard it on the
that's
news.
what it was.
I'm not interested enough in it because one, what's going to happen with the R. Kelly piece, and we're going to get back to the boys, is that if they investigate this is going to open up a whole can of worms. It's going to have a whole nut. It's going to ripple through our communities because not only because R. Kelly is not going to jail by his goddamn self. Because I'm telling you right now, as even though he can't read, he can hold some goddamn receipts. I know he got receipts, and all those people that was receiving payments, all those people that was receiving payments, need to go with him. Period. Because this is going to raise. Now, the only thing I'm grateful about that this thing is raising the conversation about some of the predatory behaviors that we may be having going on in our community, so that we can start really dealing with it. And you brought up an excellent point by how, I mean, it's just how we shrug off the fact that we have boys.
Well, I think when it's boy on boy, male on male crime, or a violation, and a lot of young men don't want to come forward about their male on male abuse because they find so much shame associated with it. Because in our community, it used to be anyway, predominantly, your manhood has been taken. And, women will look at you differently.
Right.
So when it's man on man, abuse, a lot of times the victim
won't even say that.
Doesn't even want to come forward, even more than the female victim. It's a lot more of a stigma
it's a bigger stigma
with males.
What about family?
Well, hold on.
What about this family thing? We won't talk about incest. We won't talk about incest. We'll talk about white folks and incest, but we won't talk about how rampant it is. I got two first cousins. They share the same great grandmama. And pretty soon, if I'm not protecting, this girl's going to have a baby. And they've been in a whole relationship for many years. And my family, I cannot understand how we go. Now, I don't attend no family functions, but how do they attend family functions knowing that these two people are first cousins? That's nasty.
But hold on.
And that's been going on in my family forever. Forever. Nobody talks about it.
Now, let me say this.
And not just my family. Let me put that out.
Hold on. Can we get back to the boy
right, because I want to get back to the male piece because that's a whole nother can of worms. Because think about this. We're not talking about the boys who don't speak. How do we treat
Nobody talks about it.
Wait, no. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Somebody else.
I was going to say, Sister Levita, the reason why I brought that up is because the brother went on, I seen on Facebook where the brother went on the show, and when they talked about who abused him, it was the sister. It was the sister abusing him, and that's why I say that these things kind of happen in our community too, not just the boy on boy, but also the family, where these kids are not being supervised and children are experimenting with each other, and later it leads to other things. Like I said, like incest. And so that's why I was bringing that up, because when he was talking about the molestation, if I'm not mistaken, they were saying the sister was the one in molested.
Yes, the sister. Yeah, I got you. I mean, I understood that.
Now,
I got you, sis.
But what I want, but go ahead, Shelly. Go ahead, Shelly.
I was interested in what all of you all were saying, and I think even though in terms of personal experience with the and I'm gonna use this term for lack of a better term. In terms of experience, I feel that. Are you there?
We're here.
We're here. We back up on Facebook. Facebook dropped for a second.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking at. Okay. So in terms of personal experience, I think that it's natural for a woman in that case to cater to the emotional distresses, emotional triggers, and emotional healing from that perspective, because of all of the dynamics involved in that personal experience. So I think that's one thing that happens. I think on the other end, from the experience of actually working with boys and young men, as well as being raised with only brothers and only having sons, there's a certain perspective of honor and respect that I have in terms of boys and young men and the experience that they have. So I think it's very honest for the sister to bring up, and Navita and you, Brother Hatem, to talk about the dynamics that are transpiring with our boys and young men. I think one of the things that happens is that we have not, within our community, talked about it enough, as the sister said, but I also think that we haven't designated within our community those of us that have a personal experience that we've overcome, and that there are dynamics and gifts that people who have had that kind of experience, some of them may have, where they are looking at certain characteristics in people within the community and can pick it out with a fine tooth comb. The problem is that if people don't have evidence, so now we go back to the Caucasoid way of doing things. If people don't have evidence, they're not going to pay any attention to it in its full integrity. However, and that's understandable. I want to say that across the board too. It's very understandable. We're really toggling between two worlds. We're toggling between an ancient world, with which, as the sister was talking about, to bring the conversation up, to begin with, there's a whole dynamic of history and tradition within our genetics, and that we may not be always realizing, that some of our people on some level could be subscribing to. Yet and still, there's another world with which another foot is in, or the other foot is in, where we're dealing with this whole Caucasian and European mindset, in terms of the legalism and there's a whole nother dynamic. But if we take everything and say it's African, so it's the best thing, everything African is not good. We made mistakes, which is part of the reason why we're in this situation in the first place. We made some mistakes, and so in terms of moving beyond that, we have an obligation to look at what our history is, what the tradition is. We have an obligation to look at what we're doing today, where one foot is in our Africanness and one foot is in this European society mindset, and we have an obligation to begin to dissect the truths from out of that, which bring our common day existence, where we can move into the future, not only with a premises of structure, but an honesty, of integrity, that we can not only display or exude, but we can also expect out of our young people. But we need that structure, and I think this conversation is capital. Maybe that's the wrong word. This conversation is imperative, because I think yeah, I think it brings about the opportunity for us to segue, some aspects of what we've been dealing with that are unhealthy, put it on, if we had a mind map, say we had a physical mind map, and say somebody built a physical mind map and they say, okay, this circle is over here and this has our history and what we did in our history and all the branches around it. And we have another circle, and this is where we are today. And we have a whole bunch of arms that go to different things that we're experiencing here now. And then we have for the future, prospectively, what we'd like to see happen. And I think when we start to deal with that, we're dealing with the structure of things. We can see it smack dab in front of us. And I think a forum we need to commit to having a forum where Lady J, Sister Navita, Brother Hatem, and all of the community can become a part of the dynamics of discussion that will change the pattern of what we've been dealing with. We can discuss and agree or disagree on what we don't want to do any longer, what we want to do going forward, and how we want to deal with the mishaps in our community with some of these predators that are actually lurking on children.
Now,
boys and girls.
Now, because y'all already, one of the things, because now, once again, because we got predators, male, female, we got a lot of this going on. And one of the things that we have to, like you said, we have to have the discussion to start really, like, what's the code, so that we all can, because we all might not agree with it. You might have different people that want to do different things and they need to break off. But this is one of the reasons I keep on saying we need to circle our wagons, because what's going on now is that we have all these. I remember, and not to take it too far away from this, I remember people got mad at Jay-Z because Jay-Z wore And I say this all the time. Jay-Z wore a T-shirt with an Aleister Crowley saying on it said, "Do as thy wilt," and people like Jay-Z is worshiping the devil and blah blah blah. But one of the things that I notice about our people is that we are the most do as thou wilt people on the face of this goddamn planet. I'm grown. You can't tell me nothing. I can do what I want. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the bag. A lot of the behaviors that we exhibit in our community and that we program into our children are all selfish. It's all about me. So if it's all about me, then it's all about how I feel. It don't matter who has to hurt for me to feel good. That means I have to get somebody super young for me to feel good. Then it's okay, and we okay that
or
shit.
Somebody super old, or somebody super
well, I
old.
mean, yeah. If you talking about abusing
Because
them,
my girlfriend, I believe that she preys on old men, takes advantage of them, does a whole lot of things, and so it goes the same. And I'm talking about old men.
I mean, when you say old men, are they decrepit or did she meet them at the
They
club?
older than you. They older than you.
What the hell does older than me mean?
He wants something from her. She wants something
right,
from him. That's what I call a fair exchange right
fair
there.
exchange is
He
not
wants
robbery.
to get that young,
Fair
and
exchange
she
is not
wants
robbery.
that money. He knows she don't want him because he's hot.
You know what I'm
So,
saying?
you know,
I mean,
they're willing to do that exchange.
if you grown,
fair exchange ain't no robbery.
it ain't no robbery.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But what I mean, but somebody.
Funny, there's a big difference between adult people.
Right.
Y'all comical though.
No, but but we got to make, because this is a heavy subject, because family, listen, man. I have people wonder why I have so many adopted daughters. You know what I'm saying? And they be uncomfortable about this shit. I mean, I done have relationships fall to the wayside because motherfuckers couldn't believe that I got all these adopted daughters, but then because these young ladies was looking for some place where they could be safe. Or at least some grown man in their life outside of their dad where they could be safe. And it took me years to really realize that shit. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I was totally oblivious. I asked my daughter, I said, why you walking around here like you got the world on your shoulders? And then she broke that shit down to me. I was like, God damn, you do got the world on your shoulders. Baby, I am sorry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it's like, yo, I mean, it's so predatory and everything is okay. And in our own way, we're worshiping the very thing that we say that everybody else is worshiping.
That's right. Come on.
Right, yeah.
We don't want to say it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you like this, as black folks, because I challenge, because when people be like, we the most spiritual and the most, you know what I'm saying, I always challenge that shit, because I be like, listen, most black folks are closet atheists. They go to church because they trying to pay an insurance policy to get into heaven. That's it. Because if we really operated as if we thought somebody was watching us all the goddamn time, which we say God can do, we wouldn't do half the shit we do.
That's why I say that all the time, because you already know how I feel about the God concept. But you know, a lot of people, Christian people, I would say they don't believe that shit. Because if they really believe God could come back at any minute, it would be heaven.
What's the God complex?
The God concept.
The God
concept. Yeah, I don't subscribe to the God concept. So,
but what about the God complex? What if I think that I'm a God?
It depends on what aspect I mean, if you think of, when I think of the word God, I think of it from its origin and what it was intended for and what it means. And I think if a person can think they're God, but I think people have redefined the word God because they don't want to say it doesn't exist. So they'll say things like,
they don't want that.
They don't want to say that it doesn't exist. So they would rather redefine the word God to make it mean like I am a God, because God means creator. But that was not the origin of the word God, nor what it meant. It was specifically regarding a deity and that ruled over everything and was capable of doing anything and was omnipotent, omnipresent, dot 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 dot.
Hey,
And that's controlled
omnipotent,
over this whole world and the universe and
omnipotent.
what we did. That was what a god was.
Well,
And
well, now that's
they did some type of influencing
right.
over this world as far as like in a magical, mystical way. And I just think that I don't think that's even possible. And I think everything we do is based on what we do here, not necessarily some magical thing that in the sky that's conducting these things. So that's what God means to me in its origin of how people looked at God. And like Elder Adoni used to say, we didn't even use that term. So we need to get away from it. So,
Girl, don't be quoting Ajni now, because we.
So, so some people may have a God complex, I guess, but I mean, it just depends on how they identify the word God, because people have so redefined this word anymore. It means so many things than what I was used to it meaning when I was coming up.
Let me make an announcement real quick. All those that's listening on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, the signal dropped off because I pushed something wrong, so we restarted now. So I may have missed some of your comments, but I want to make sure I get everybody.
Can you see my comments from YouTube when I comment?
I seen something. I remember I responded. I said I seen it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
but that was
when I called on the phone. I haven't been back on YouTube since I've been
right.
on the phone.
That's a different stream now.
Are you back on Facebook too?
We back. I'm back on Facebook, but you can't go back. It'll pop up. It's at the top of the timeline right now. You know what I'm saying? Because it totally fell off. And like I said, make sure y'all like and share, family, so we can spread the. Okay, Brother Kwame is up. Mosaic distinction of God concept different from Neter or even how applied to Greek, Norse, Indian, or others. Because the concept that a lot of us argue over is not the ancient concept, it's the more modern concept of Western religion. This is the concept that we, what I'm saying, because they, it's they pimped out everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool. It's cool. We just got to figure out who we are, where we are, when we are, and start applying that shit. It's very simple. I mean, because this whole discussion is about some of the deviations that have allowed to be that we have allowed to happen because we have, in a sense, lost the honor code amongst us. There's certain things that we should not be doing amongst us. You understand?
Now listen, I had this conversation this morning. This is something that's been I was wondering if I could share this with somebody, but I didn't know how people would take it. But I'm gonna share it with y'all. Y'all tell me what you think. Okay, so and this is I guess I don't know if you want to say an epiphany or as in me studying, I might have been doing something 6 months ago, and then all of a sudden I see something wrong with it today, and I don't do it anymore. So with that being said, I think our whole sexual concept. Our whole concept of sex is from a European standpoint for most of us. I think that if we really go back, like the Jill Scott thing, I didn't like the Jill Scott thing with the microphone and everything. And I had people saying there's nothing wrong with it. And there would have been a time when I would have been like, she grown. She could do what she want to do. That don't mean that kids don't need to watch it. That would have been me. But as I studied the history of our own sexuality within the United States, and you were raised by your grandparents, Tim. My great grandparents was around. Now, for people who did things like she did, that was not looked at. That was not common. It was not praised. You had a few people that may have been doing it, but it was not common and praised. And if it was your daughter or somebody else that was doing it, it was really unacceptable. When you go back and look at porn, there was a time when you could not find black pornography. It didn't exist in this country at one time. Okay? Yep. And then we started being around them and always say integration, simulation, and we started doing things like, now we got our porn coming out. You start seeing black porn. You started seeing naked women in the blaxploitation films that was coming out. Yep. There was a time when we looked at that type of shit. For a woman to show her titties on TV, we thought that was some shit. That was some disrespectful shit. And then time progressed with the feminist movement, And then we had the whole "I am woman, hear me roar," and a
Rawr!
woman can be just as she. Why does she have to hold her sexual desires just because she ain't a man? A woman should be able to express herself sexually just like a man should be able to express herself sexually. Women shouldn't hold back. That was all part of the whole feminist movement. And women, and to women of color, in my opinion, they jumped right on that board. Then you started seeing
Right.
black women sleeping around like it wasn't. Well, I'm a woman and I got needs, and definitely no discipline about their
Wait,
sexuality.
hold on.
Men too,
You left the part
men
out of
too.
there. You left the part out of there. Not only do I have needs, but then also throw in the bag thing, because this goes back to Lady J's major point whenever she called in the show, even if we arguing. But her major point is that there has been a propaganda campaign that I could trace back at least 1,000 years that has been against
And
us.
Yep.
that's true.
At
Even with
least a
even
thousand
within
years.
And not
this
only that,
country, but this that the feminist movement, in my opinion, I remember being a young lady, and it was like the Mary Tyler Moore shit, and I just
yeah,
remember a thing with the women really breaking, busting out of this. Like, I'm busting out on the serious joint. I mean, they was busting loose. There we go. They was busting loose in ways I never seen women bust. I did it with my mother, and she was impressed by this shit. My mom was impressed by this whole
reason. So you got to identify the mic. I can hear y'all now. Next time y'all come back up, when y'all come back up, make sure that you understand that even if I can't hear you or you can't hear me, right? I'm trying to make it so that the family can hear your conversation because that's important. So let me go back up. We're going to go back up. Let me see. Maybe if I go from a different angle, let's try from here. Something's going on with my mic and I don't understand what's going on. Check one, check two, check one, check two, check one, check one, check two. All right, loading Uber conference. Let's see how I go. Check one, check two, check one, check two, check one, check one, check one, check two. Okay, cool. We back up. All right. All right, family. So this call is being recorded. We gotta wait for the sisters to gather and shit. I'm sorry. This is Sister Shelly. You back up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Cool. Hello? Yeah, can you hear me? I can hear you. All right.
This is Shelly I.
Right, we're waiting for everybody else to call back in. I don't know. My mic totally. I don't know. I'm not gonna complain because it could be worse. You know what I'm saying? But and we had other people calling in, so we waiting for them to call back in. Anybody out there?
Okay.
The lines are open at 614-260-7150. Once again, it's a toast and discuss where we had the opportunity to go on and share some of our thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Not along the lines of anybody's agenda. The conversation goes where the conversation goes. So right now we're talking about some possibly establishing some code in the community. And right now my line just dropped me again. I don't understand how I'm the organizer of the thing and it's dropping me. All right, so Sister Kim. This conference is being recorded by the organizer.
I can hear you. I just came back.
Cool.
Okay, I can hear now.
So go ahead.
Kim, you on the line? This is Shelly I.
I'm back.
Hey.
So go ahead.
You back?
Sister Kim.
Hey.
Sister Kim, you was trying to say something earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to say it, but if you did, you might have to say it again because I don't know if the family out in the world was able to hear your comments.
Yeah, hopefully my internet will last long enough for you to hear my comments. It's a bad Wi-Fi day for me. But anyway, what I was saying is that I see us as a people, we are marginalized. Almost we are created through white supremacy, brought from Africa. You know, we were tribes in Africa. You know, we left Africa before there were nations. So there was no nationhood when we left Africa.
That's true.
We went to America and became a people through our bondage, through white supremacy. And as a result of that, we're almost kind of like perpetual victims in a sense for years. We're perpetual victims in different forms. And so we're going to be heavily impacted by negative things in the society. And those negative things could be manifest themselves sexual abuse, manifest themselves in other things. That's how I see us.
I know what happened. I'm still here. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's how I see us. And I think that, you know, we have pockets in our community who are able to fend off this stuff. But as a whole, you know, we have moments in our community where we're really strong and things don't really impact us as much. But we have times when we're really weak. And, you know, that's when we have a lot of drug abuse, sexual abuse, all these things, you know, really impact us. So I think it's just like a constant battle that we have primarily because of who we are and where we are.
Right. And understanding that because I
And
mean,
I don't want to seem negative. I don't want to seem negative because it's not like doom and gloom, but
No,
that's just how I see it.
yeah, it's reality. It's reality, sis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said. That was realistic. That
check
is really
one,
what we're looking at.
check two, check one, check two.
That's how I
This is getting ridiculous, family.
This conference is being recorded by the organizer.
have like Aborigines in Australia, and you have some other indigenous groups who are, dealing with extreme white supremacy, and they really don't impact the world like we have. And so I just think, even though we've been dealing with this for hundreds of years, look what we still managed to accomplish.
Oh man,
True.
resiliency.
True.
We are very resilient people, and I mean, and actually, we are in a position that nobody, no other people, possibly in history, have been in. We were totally
True.
removed from where we are to a whole new
Yep.
place. So we could create a
Yep.
whole new mythology, a whole new code. I mean,
Yep.
it's like we are at a first people stage. You know what I'm saying? And when I mean first people
Yep.
stage, we are at a place where we are able to create the mythology for what we are right now. And this is what a lot of people don't understand because it's like boom.
True.
Because one of the reasons that because like with you, Sister Kim, because sometimes people be like, hi, brother, hi Tim, you talking about a lot of doom and gloom. No, what I honestly believe is in the laws of my eye, one of the key pieces I constantly bring is that I could never solve the problem if I don't look at the reality. If I'm looking at the illusion of the problem, I'm always gonna get knocked out. If I go for the fakes, I'm always gonna get knocked out. So I'm trying to get my people to be like, look, let's look at where we are, when we are, and where we are, so that we can overcome. Because a lot of the stuff that's going on with us is the fact that we don't really know where we are. We don't really know who we are. We don't know. We're totally outside all that, and all that stuff has been defined for us by others. And because others have defined it for us, they are benefiting from our dysfunction.
True.
They do benefit, and I'm going to add something else. Who else benefits from our dysfunction? I love Africa. I live in Africa, but I'm going to say something. Africa is the only continent in the world that sold its people to build up another man's land.
Hello.
They're only in the world. So, and the descendants of the people who sold its people are still here. Okay? So they have that lineage, just like we have our lineage, they have that lineage.
And a lot of
what I'm saying is,
now I was gonna say a lot of people don't want to deal with that, Sister Kim, but go ahead.
They don't.
They don't.
Yep.
That's, I mean, I love Africa, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with. And if we are looking to uplift, we need to think about who we looking to partner with. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I know Africa is flawed, just like this.
Wait, time out, Navita.
For me,
Navita.
This is me.
Navita, how in the world could you come on? I mean, you ain't been on for a second.
I've been listening. I've been listening. Trying to give you time to get your shit together with all the.
I'm just like, you just roll right in. It takes me a second.
Now that you got it back popping, but I wanted to say with the Africa thing, this is just for me and some of the people, excuse me, in my circle. Africa is not
void of corruption. It's not void of coons because they got plenty of them there. It's not void of wanting to be Americanized or anything. It's not void of those things. So if you leave to go there, you can't go there. I wouldn't go there with the expectation of having this so-called kumbaya super unity moment. Even though I do have people who I know who live there who they feel like that's their experience. You know what I'm saying? Even Wasima, and you know how life that is. I've heard of some issues with complexions, but overall, she still, she said they made her feel welcome in Ghana when she lived there. So, my thing is, I want to leave the state just off of the mass incarceration piece alone. I think for me, that's one of the biggest things that is plaguing our community, with us supposedly being 13% and over 70% of the mass people incarcerated. We have an imbalance in our community of available men because of mass incarceration. Our people are being lynched daily by a pen and a pencil in a courtroom every day. And that is why I want to leave this country. That's my only reason.
Can I say, but what I said was in context of what you're talking about, know who you are, know your past, know who you're dealing with. It's in that context. It's not in the context of if something is good or bad, go or don't go, but know what you're dealing with. That's what I was talking about. Like, we need to know who we are in America.
Right.
We also need to know who our situation on the global scale. That's what I was saying. And yes, we were sold. And this continent, I say this continent because I'm on it, is the only continent in the world that sold its people to build up somebody else's land.
And
Asia didn't do that. Europe didn't do that. Africa did it. So that's all I'm saying.
And
you think it's good or bad?
It's rough. And listen, because listen, one of the things that, like, for example, man, Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell really covered. There was an article called My Slave Trading Grandfather. Y'all really need to check that shit out because it's a whole lot. Not only is a whole bunch of white folks over here that still got wealth, and in Europe who still got wealth made from slavery, we got to start looking at some of those families over there that still have wealth that came from them trading us. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, because my piece is, when I talk reparations, I ain't just talking America. I'm talking about cleaning the goddamn house. Because there's a lot of people that need their ass kicked. And then also, we also got to start dealing with some of our African brothers and sisters and their attitudes when they deal with us. Because there are some that believe that they are better than us. It's some of them that don't feel they need to deal with us. And we need to go and check every last one of them. Because we need to let people know. Because once again, this is going back to knowing who we are. You know what I'm saying? Not only do I have the African heritage and the DNA that you got, family, I got the oppression and the struggle that I got over here. You know what I'm saying? So, dude, I can help you. I can help you where you are if you are able to humble yourself and at least take the lessons that this new being can bring to you. Because motherfuckers want to, because family, when you think about it, we've been over here long enough to have genetic changes in us. We a different species, and we don't want to accept that shit. Because really, when it comes, as far as that divine shit, we are a different species. We were formed not only in the wombs of our mother, but in the fiery womb of America, and the oppression, generation after generation, being with a certain type of, with a distinctive type of slavery being applied to us, and with a distinctive hate coming from the government that supported that shit for generations to generations. We have literally become a different being. Although we do still maintain the African heritage, we have to understand so that when we dealing with people and they start using terms like Akata or shit like that, you know what I'm saying? be able to check that motherfucker. I understand what you're saying, and I will shove that shit down your throat if you say it to me again.
What term did you just say?
It's called a kata. In certain, you have certain. It means wild cat, stray cat. You know what I'm saying? This is what some African people refer to African Americans as. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them. Don't get it's a specific lot. It's
I got you.
It's a specific crew. It's a specific crew because we got to understand that many of us, unless you've been to the continent, you have not really dealt with real Africans. I'm gonna say that again. Unless you've been to the continent, you have not really dealt with the real people of Africa. Because they are beautiful. But the motherfuckers that be coming over here are not necessarily even real Africans. You look at their pedigree. A motherfucker that's been educated at the Sorbonne or a motherfucker that's been educated and been able to travel just mean that they're working on some wealth. The question you got to ask when you see them is, where did your wealth come from? But we don't want to ask that question.
Sure.
We don't want to ask that because family, let me tell you right now.
I don't even ask. I assume it came from something like that. I just assume. So you think there was a plethora of Africans on the continent selling Africans?
No. What I'm saying, no. Listen to me. Because we know that a lot of people benefited from it. But the point that I'm trying to make is this, Navita, the real Africans, the real ones that we need to be seeking solidarity with, in most cases, do not make it here because they don't make enough money to make it here.
You're right.
When I went to Ghana, let me tell you this. The beautiful piece about what Mama Lika did for me when I went to Ghana, when I first went to Ghana, I never touched a hotel. She didn't even let me know what hotels existed. She took me straight to the families and people that lived there and introduced me to these people where I was able to meet people who didn't have money for plane tickets, that didn't have money to go to school, that was just scraping by every day. So I really got to see real African people. And that's who I came back to America talking about I wanted to unite with. But then you have to look at when you got certain people that come over here, you got to realize, family, you got to realize that they are coming from families of wealth. And those families, a lot of those families, we have to ask them, where did you get your wealth from? Before you even want to look at me, even want to have conversation with me, family, where did your family wealth come from? Because I need you to humble yourself. Because I know for a fact, and a lot of people don't want to deal with this, I know for a fact that this whole world benefited from the failure of those of us that were sent over here. The whole world benefited. We are the ones that not only built America, we built the goddamn world from our suffering. And they still getting paid off for our suffering. I'm sorry. Y'all don't let me go off on that shit. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
No, I agree with everything you said. I totally agree with everything you say. And I just want to say one other thing. Because she said, do you believe that we were sold? I want to say the amount of people who left this continent, do you really think those people left this continent without money being changed in hands? Do you see loads of any kind of commodity leaving the shore and no one gets paid for it? That don't happen.
Let me tell you, this is a real story. Wait, this is a real story. I was at a club, and I got into this is how Brother Hatem kicking. I'm out, I'm drinking, and I get in a conversation and a debate with a brother from Nigeria. I can't remember what we was debating about, but it was some Hatem shit. I'm sitting up here, we having a good time, and we debating. And, so he started bragging about how, it was something about along the lines how African Americans weren't able to progress because of our work ethic and shit. And, I'm about to smash this motherfucker. I'm like, yo, dude. And he started bragging about his grandfather who died at 109 years old. And he owned a whole bunch of land and shit. And just as I was about to hit this motherfucker with the wild woo-wee, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, nigga, you are over here because your grandfather was able to maintain land for that long because he was involved in the slave trade. They called him to the stage because he was a comedian. That motherfucker dodged me the rest because I was about to smash his ass. Because don't come at me with that. And I love my people. I love all my people. You know what I'm saying? And I can forgive some bullshit. But you got to be honest about it. Let's be honest about it.
I tell one thing I want to say that was pointed out numerous times during this conversation is that when we start talking about the destruction of a black civilization, the things that we do here that are counterproductive to our progression, we too did in Africa, and I thank the sister for bringing that up. It didn't start here. It didn't start on this continent, but it started on the continent of Africa. And if we don't go back and look at some of those behaviors, some of those actions, some of those ideologies that we held, that some of those people on that continent held, that we continue to hold today, we won't be able to pull ourselves up. We won't be able to bring about change or a revolution. But if we just think that it is just significant to this here continent, we're going to miss the piece that no, this actually existed. These ideologies and ideas existed prior to us coming here. And what she's talking about with the selling of slaves and the participation in the slave trade, the continent is part of it.
Well, you know, selling out and all that.
But I want to say this too. Hakim's going to be mad at. I'm not trying to get him bored today, but the Negro speaks rivers. So when we speak about art, what we've done, I mean, we constantly will talk about what has happened to us as a consequence of being here, but we'll omit or fail to acknowledge the fact that this is our country. This is our country. We built this country. It is our country. On our ingenuity, on our slave labor. Right. We built this country. So this country is just as much mine than anyone else's. So you would have me call myself an African American, but the reality
that's where I disagree with you at, Lady J. This country is more ours than anybody else's. Fuck that.
It's more.
I'm not on that equality shit because nobody ever wanted to give it. It's more ours than anybody else's.
That's right.
Your ancestors, blood, sweat, and tears. Well, now hold on. Hold on. Time out. I'm not gonna get into that argument. But what I am gonna say is this: the concept of America, the land, no, but the concept of America is more ours, and that's the concept that's running this motherfucker. Now,
and I can have and this is what I want to say. The last piece I want to say is that when this ideal. Like I teach nothing but ESL students. So I got 2 points to make. Every last one of my students that I teach is learning English as a second language. They come from all parts of the world. And there's some things that I have seen that right now we're talking about, my 8th graders are talking about the American Revolution. But one thing I was able to explain to them that every last country represented in my classroom, every last one of their countries had a revolution. Every last one of their countries declared independence against a European country. The other piece that I have noticed, and I said this not too long ago, and I actually had Jay Adams at my school the other day, and I actually showed her what I was talking about. I gave my kids an assignment where they had to make a timeline. And because many of them are immigrants and sought asylum, they didn't have a chance to bring their records, or they don't have pictures and things of that sort, right? So I say to them, you can go online and just find some pictures that serve as an illustration for your work. The number of my students that not only from Africa, but also from Nepal and places in Asia, they all chose white pictures to represent them as children. And I was so embarrassed that I refused some of those timelines to even put them in the hallway for people to see. Because I knew if I was confused, other people were going to be confused as well. But it also let me know the wrath. You see what I'm saying? The wrath of this Eurocentric thinking. That these kids who are fresh from Ghana, fresh from Nigeria, fresh from Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia, they're all identifying themselves as white. Also my Latino students, my students from El Salvador and places like that. It's very interesting. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking with one of my students, a Somalian girl, and she tells me we're having lunch, and she tells me she's explaining to me about her family dynamics, and she says that her mother's white. So I look at her, knowing that this child is just a half a shade lighter than me, and I'm trying to figure out why would she say that, but because her mother was light skinned, right? She would automatically identify. It's just something, it's something to know about in Nigeria about them bleaching their skin, which is something we have done in our history as well. But also now them making their lips pink and all of this stuff. So when we think about not only here what has happened to us as a result of white inferiority, we can think about the same thing is going on in these continents, right? I mean, I'm sorry, in these countries in Africa. And I'm not talking about South Africa. I'm talking about Ghana, right? Nigeria. Yeah, it's alarming, but it is telling. And if we don't,
it's pervasive.
Right. That's a good word for it. Pervasive.
It's pervasive. You can't buy. I couldn't buy any kind of a skin cream when I was in Malaysia that didn't have skin whitening in it. Everything had skin whitening in it. I couldn't buy anything that didn't have skin whitening. Deodorant has skin whitener.
Shut
Everything.
Up. And this is Malaysia. So what we're dealing with, we're dealing with the concept, see, because this is dope. This is why I like mythology. European, right? My fault. West Asians have made how they look the universal look. So even in a child's imagination, if you don't grab them when they're young and start making them know, look at yourself, they will automatically look in the mirror and see themselves with pale skin and long hair. This is why it's important that you grab the narrative of your family and the narrative of your tribe immediately, because whether you know it or not, they are being infected by this universal shit. And the universe that we are talking about is not this whole where we all are the same and we know it's all white. God damn it, the concept of beauty is white. The hair is white. Everything that could be detrimental to our children, everything that could build our children or destroy our children is based on them. So what we have to do is we have to be bold enough to snatch the narrative. This is why I keep on talking about folk tales and stories, because this is what is at the back of everything that we do. From even if we go to the molestation and shit, motherfuckers can justify molesting a motherfucker because black kids are less than everybody else. It's not really a crime. We could justify that shit. Motherfuckers find.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
When will your global ideal become a global reality?
So the question is when. The question is when. Now I got a question. Do you honestly believe that when the concept of this universal whiteness started, they had an end date for when it would start? For me, the question is not when. The question is, can I get it started? It doesn't matter when, because think about this. The whole concept of white supremacy, the whole idea of white supremacy, right? Or the way we discuss it now, is not from a white person perspective. It's from a brother by the name of Neely Fuller, who launched this idea in like 1960, in the early 70s. It came all the way up to 2018. Now we having people having discussions using the term white supremacy, not understanding that term was not originated by white folks. It was originated to identify a system by a brother. And his thought concept is now growing. He didn't know when the shit was going to go global. I'm not concerned about when my shit become universal. I'm concerned about how my shit affect my children and your children and all of our children right now, because I never know when one of these children that's coming from me will go global. So the question is not when. The question is, can we get the process started? Because it might take 30 years. It might take 100 years.
Hey,
I would like to say that I actually agree. I think one of the, are you all there?
We're here.
yes.
Yeah, we're here.
I think one of the things is that building structure, it does require some patience, but to be totally honest, it requires a little less patience when we're able to stay on task. I think when we're able to stay on task, we can get more done because we refuse to glide off topic. And then what can happen, because for every problem there's more than one solution. But if my problem solving skills provide that I have a problem, okay, I'm discussing that problem with my community. And then I begin to discuss other problems with my community, which is a part of the process too,
Right.
because a lot of the issues are intersecting. So to discuss that is one thing, but to discuss that and never return is a whole nother thing, because that means that there's a bit of attention deficit disorder in terms of finalizing what at least our answer is today, what we plan to do today in order. I'm a solution-oriented person. So for every problem, there's more than one solution. I think just as well as what you were talking about, Hatem, I think, which is profound, universally, we got to be worried about, we have to be concerned with, how it affects us and our children. That's most important. And I think,
Can I say something really quick?
I think one of the things is that inside of it being imperative for us to realize what has become universal for us here is to also realize within that list of things, universally, sexuality has become white. And so in terms of where we're actually starting, where we're exploring into, and where we're concluding, sexuality is the issue. And the sexual connotation and orientation of our children is what is in question today. It is what we are finding on some level, some disorientation across the board with how we are going to move forward and how we're going to deal with the issues that we're encountering in our community. Whether or not we're just going to let predators walk around, whether or not we're going to access the gifts and talents that some of the people in our community hold, that can give us warnings. Warnings.
That's Shelly I. We're going to finish, Shelly, and then we're going to let everybody else comment.
Okay, that can give warning signals to our community, and also the whole dynamic of discussion and a format to actually sit down and one at a time deal with the issues, one at a time find a solution, and it takes time to do it, but it's so worth it because then we all know what to do. We know how to operate. We know what we all agree with, and we know that if there's a problem that's existing across the board, that we're all going to come together looking very much alike, being very much alike, and agreeing very much on the same subject. We all have the same common goals.
I hear and I love what you're saying because I see it happening. I can visualize a panel, I can a community forum in which is ongoing and in which we take different issues or topics and attack them one-on-one and then come back together and keep coming back together, revisiting these and talking about what it is that we're doing. But also, like I said, having several of them where we pan out and break down some of these issues and focus on one at a time, coming up with solutions. And then, like I said, continuing to meet to not only discuss a new one, but also to continue the discussion on those that we've discussed in the past. There are two things that I want to point out, and I think that one escaped me, but I want to share this real quick. The other day, my daughter, she told me everything, right?
You mean my daughter-in-law? You mean my daughter-in-law? Okay.
Yes.
Get straight.
And so she discusses. She tells me everything, and some days there's some things that she tells me that I don't really share to hear, but I want to make sure that she knows that she can always come to me and tell me anything. So I sit, and a lot of times I'm just taking it in, and I don't always comment until it's necessary, right? So I just take in everything, but she was telling me, she said that they had some issue at school the other day where one of the kids, they keep creating these pages, right? And they'll go on this page and they'll shame different kids in the building, right? So she's told me about this. Has happened several times. Well, this time she makes it to the page, right? And so she mentions it one night, doesn't go into detail. The next day she gets in my car. Friday afternoon, we're on our way to a sleepover, so it's a sleepover. So she gets in my car and she says, Mom, I don't know who's raising my friend, but I wish their parents were more like you. She said, you have explained some things to me that makes it so that when people are doing these things and saying things about me that are not true, they don't affect me. I don't care who posted it. I don't care what they said because it's not true. So I'm not going to. And she said she tried to explain it to them, but it led me back to the meetings that she and I attend and the camp that we attend and how we're able to go there and celebrate our Blackness and celebrate who we are. And that has led to building up a foundation in my daughter so that when she goes to school, she can rock her afro. You know what I'm saying? Not caring if somebody's going to say something about her hair or how it's not long or her tech. She's oblivious to those things. I have been able through programming to build something up in her so that she is too black, too strong, and too beautiful. You see what I'm saying? And within that conversation, it just reminded me how important it is to lay that foundation because, like you said, our kids go into this world where they are whitewashed, where they are told that their black is not beautiful, right?
No,
where they
now I'm gonna say they're not told that. What they're shown is that beauty is white. They're not told that. Now they get the rest of that shit from us. You know what I'm saying? Because now I want you to think about this. You a child and you see your mom with the same hair you got, but she covering that shit up. Or you see your dad, you know what I'm saying? You know he really ain't making a lot of money, but he going out to impress all these people. So they get a lot of that stuff from us. But what you're talking about is that you have been able
they get more of that from programming, so that's propaganda.
So, but hold on, let me finish. What you're saying? Can I finish my point, please? All I'm trying to say is that you have either become involved or created an environment where what we're talking about, what the universal is us, your daughter and your son and my son and some of our other kids, some of the other people that's been involved with us. We create a space, a sacred space where our children could come and they are the universal. And I challenge other communities to that. I mean, like I say, even with our Kwanzaa, when I posted about our Kwanzaa, I challenge people to because the whole piece is let's come on. If we're gonna compete football, let's compete who could throw the best Kwanzaa. Let's compete who could set up the best camp where our children feel as if they are being empowered. If we're gonna compete, let's compete on that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm the champ of that shit right there. So you go Mayweather, you can have boxing and do your shit, and in 3 generations your money will be gone. But you know what's gonna be happening with our kids in 3 generations, Lady J?
I already know.
Exactly. You understand what I'm saying? It's so some people could get the shine in the short run. What we got to understand and what a lot of us forget is that we are in a generational warfare. So whether it's coming in the form of R. Kelly or whether it's coming in the form of Kellogg's or it's coming in the form of gentrification, we are in a generational warfare, family. And until we start preparing the troops and preparing our children to understand that, because my job is not to go out here and floss. That's why I was confused in my 20s. It's not to go out here and floss and to show people how much money I got. It's to sit up here and to set a platform upon which my kids can feel the best that they can. Every time my kids go to one of our camps or go to Simba camp or anything that we do, my kids get to see us empowered. They get to see our flag raised.
So back to what the gentleman said about this universal. We start where we are. We start where we are, and it trickles out. I can't go out and save the world if I haven't worked on myself and my family. Come on. It's true. So that's how we get it out. And when we network and we get enough people on the same playing field, and that's when we cause a ripple effect. And that's why I said years ago I didn't understand W.E. Du Bois and this 10%. I thought he was saying only 10% of us were capable. But what he was saying is you don't need everyone. You need your core group. And from that core group, you make a ripple effect. That's how the revolution starts. That's how the revolution starts. And so I would encourage us and I would challenge us to do just what the Queen said and go ahead and set up start planning for our panel in which we will have these continuous conversations.
Can we have it in the woods? I would like to have something like that at a camp. You know what I'm saying? Really, I mean,
that would be wonderful.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because one, in an environment, because this is what happens. This is one of the things that I got from camping and especially Simba camp. Allowing people to simmer in the culture. You see, people don't understand. Like, for example, with Simba camp. Now, I did camping trips before, but the one unique thing about Simba camp is, for the very first time, when I got home after Simba camp, I sat in the tub because I wasn't able to get in the tub. I was so busy. Some days I didn't even get to take showers because my first time there, I had to really get out there and I had to really work with these boys and get things right for them and make sure everything. So sometimes I had to sacrifice. Sometimes I couldn't eat. You know what I'm saying? Because there wasn't enough food. So as a nation builder, I got to fill my tribe. And they were seeing that shit. And when I got home, I was so tired and I got in the tub and I started crying. And I wasn't crying because I was tired. I started crying because I missed that shit already. See, we got to create environments where we are totally immersed so that we can simmer and know what it feels like. This is why.
Come on.
This is why I say something like this. People need, if we have these conversations, they need to simmer on it. This ain't no shit where we go to a European hotel and give them our motherfucking money and then we go home and be immersed back in the bullshit. No, we got to let this simmer. This is why it's important for us to pull up and go camping and do stuff, because we got to set up the environment where we can make happen what we want to happen, because it's in that sacred space. And we can call on our Creator and our ancestors to insulate that shit and allow it to stew. Like, you know, because you can't cook a soup in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? A real good soup. Now you go and get the canned shit, but if you want a real good soup, you gotta let it stew. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, I just want to say that I was in 2nd grade when I finally realized I wasn't Puerto Rican. Y'all laughing and shit. Hold on, I ain't started yet. All right. When I was in kindergarten, all right, my sister came from California, and I thought I'd get her a gift. So I made her a card. I had some money, but I made her a card because it came from the heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I bought her some lifesavers, and when she opened up the card, my cousin called me Chico from Puerto Rico, and it stuck. And so for show and tell and shit like that, people asked me to speak Spanish. I'm like, I don't know Spanish. And then the teacher has to go, oh, Puerto Ricans don't know Spanish. And then, but the fucked up part is that the teacher knew I wasn't Puerto Rican. All right. So here we is. I live in a household with with my 4 cousins, my grandmother, and my aunt at the time, and I'm so jealous. I'm so pissed off. Ask me why.
Because you the lightest one.
Because I was the only one in the house without a Jerry curl. I couldn't get a Jerry curl. And I didn't know why. And instead of telling me, oh, you can't have a Jerry curl because your hair is already naturally curly, they would give me this activator bottle with water filled in it. So here I am going to in 2nd grade, the only black kid in the school, right? Spritzing water in my head, wearing a curl cap, right? Now, here's what I knew. I had been tricked. I went out for recess, and the sun beamed down on my hair, and the shit got real nasty. I kept spritzing the water in it, and it started getting more frizzy and frizzy, and it didn't look like a Jerry curl. I'm sitting in the back of the classroom mad as shit because I got bedhead inside of a plastic bag. And so my whole point is that I didn't become a reactionary because of that experience. When I knew the truth, I knew it was important to me. And to this day, if your family, friend, community member, if we hold no functionality in terms of embracing and helping to maintain our well-being, our quality of life, I truly believe that there is a major detriment in raising up a generation of reactionaries opposed to Kuchakalia. Choose for yourself. Choose for yourself without the bias that your parents brought into it, because we perpetuate our fears through the way that we teach our children. And some of us are not in the space to teach them to act instead of reacting all the time. When we get on the line, it's less today about what we can use our innovations and our resources to create that isn't here. It's more about why we have it and why it's going to be difficult for our children later on. And there's just certain things. Go ahead.
Now, so looking at the reality, I mean, because I mean, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not the reality. But looking at the reality or looking at what is wrong to show your children that. It's wrong to have those discussions. Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just wrong to tell them that's the only way to win.
What?
Listen, it's a good thing we're not doing that, everybody. So we're on the right path, is what he's saying. So, Brother Hatem, I want to ask you. So, in terms of having a forum like that, with there at the camp, one thing that I wanted to ask you, because I'd love to do that too. I'd love to be a part of that if I can. One thing I want to ask you too is it possible that we could maybe have a mock forum or a forum that's a prerequisite to having it there at the camp, so that some of the more mature details of the discussion we could discuss amongst the adults.
Hell yeah.
And then,
I mean, see, this is
better yet. How can we take it from a discussion panel into action?
Well, first you got to discuss it first, obviously.
Now, but I'm gonna go to this. Let me tell you what my superpower is. It took me years to discover this. I discovered it last week. I had the ability to create time and space. Time and space. So, and I mean, all throughout my life, I'm looking at that shit, time and space. I've been able to create time and space. So the piece is, we can do that. We can have a conversation beforehand. Hell, we have, as a matter of fact, Sister Navita on the line. We got to talk about this next movie that we're gonna do for,
Right.
for. I mean, because we got people
For a
coming through.
fundraiser.
We have fundraisers as well as discussions on a regular basis. Every other week we do warrior training.
Yeah.
We got a warrior training coming
Every other
up.
week.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, for me, because sometimes setting other stuff to do it is complicated for me because I'm doing a lot of shit. So I'm like, boom,
Right.
if we could fit it into what's already popping off, I have no problems with that, because I have adults that come through. You know what I'm saying? I have young people that come through. You know what I'm saying? So the whole piece is, it's just a matter
and we have discussions, and we have a discussion piece every 2 weeks, you know.
Every 2 weeks. And
a camping trip, you know, we have discussions, you know. People's reaction to it, and I mean, I got a big issue because White Daddy said this is what it was, and White Daddy got these girls and stuff. When you start bringing in all these other aspects, I'm gonna automatically question the validity. But that's just me. You can't just, you know. So I don't give a fuck about no shit on Lifetime. I really don't. I don't trust nothing they put out. I'm supposed to just believe it because they found some sisters to come on and say this is what happened. I mean, they said that shit, I don't know how many years ago. This ain't no new shit. You know what I'm saying? But now that the new white media say y'all supposed to be mad, now they're taking this stuff off the radio and all that stuff. I think this is an even deeper issue than the pedophilia piece that people are addressing with this whole R. Kelly thing. In my
it's
opinion.
definitely deeper.
But I mean, of course there is different topics. You know, I think we was on a different.
Our kids are disappearing from our households, and ain't nobody giving a shit, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, like, I mean, a more valid issue, and it sounds really far fetched, but it makes sense. It makes sense. I don't want to believe it, but it just makes sense. Somebody said, and it wasn't just somebody. It's about 100 videos on YouTube talking about how, like, if you eat from McDonald's, most likely you're a cannibal because they putting these homeless and missing people
check one, check two, check one, check two. Check one.
This conference is being recorded by the organizer.
Coming out with, we got
Can y'all hear me?
newsletter coming out. We got the warrior training coming out. So we need people who are going to be dedicated to the piece, and we got to get a lot more fundraisers and things going. And I think it's very important, and we got to get more young ladies involved in the program. So we're going to really be kicking off this year in a big way because we keep increasing. So anybody who's listening, anybody on the line that feels like they could be a part and want us to, please submit your application. You can drop something to my hot Tim or myself. And when we get the application filled out, we could definitely, I'm hoping to do an online application that we could do a piece that to, see where you could definitely be of some assistance to the young men and the young ladies that we serve in the community, because this is our future.
Check one.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
All right. Hey, so can y'all hear me?
Where's Hot Tim at? He's still on here?
I thought I was on, but
I'm here.
Well, somebody better say something, goddamn. Somebody say
still
something.
On?
Yeah, I'm on.
I think I'm
here. This might be a.
Can you see him? Because I can't see.
All right, I'm on, family, but something going on with my mic.
This conference is being recorded.
My mic don't sound nice. Check one. Can y'all hear me now?
I can hear you.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. So no. You can't.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, family, we have been on for almost 3 hours, somewhere around. I'm gonna tell you exactly how long we've been on. We've been on 2 hours and 24 minutes. So I want to thank. Yeah, really, 2 hours 24 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to call in. I want to take time for. I want to thank all the family that took the time to post up. And, like on the weekends, we are able to dine, to toast and discuss, and also we could talk about putting together the forum. Especially like I said, I just like people to stew over the shit. I don't want people to be, because one of the things I learned about rites of passage, one of the first steps in rites of passage is separation. So that because they separate you so that you are not privy to all the old stimuluses that you had. So you have to separate an individual so that they could be initiated, so that they could stew in that wisdom, that knowledge, or whatever you throwing on them, and then you reintroduce their ass, right? Because oftentimes we do little forms and stuff, and we hit them with real quick bites, and they're able to go immerse themselves right back into the fuckery that they was doing before and forget everything that, I wanted to make a change, but how you gonna make a change when you only had 2 hours of it? And you might have every intention of leaving that room and making a change, but you have not had the time to adapt your life to it. So we need to be able to provide our people with getaways where they can go and incorporate the culture into their life. And it don't cost a lot of money. Now, those people that be like, well, I'm not going to sleep on the ground, then you don't want to be free. God damn it, because when they come at us, where you think you're going to be sleeping when they chasing our ass? You're going to be sleeping on the ground. If you ain't able to sleep on the ground. Are you talking
about on the camping?
Yeah, on the camping trip.
Sleeping the camp?
Right, sleeping on it. Because this is the way we could keep it affordable. This is what people don't understand. The reason that I keep on harping on going camping is because it makes everything affordable. Because you and Shaka and everybody else that came out to that camping site, y'all see how much space we got. We had enough space for 150 people. For 12,
and the young men, let me tell you, I don't know nothing about tents, which I need to learn, but I was able to go buy some tents, and the young men put them up like that for me, like that. They already know how to do it, and that's a skill in itself.
And that's from years and years of us doing this. But what I'm trying to tell people is we want to pay all these money for these workshops and all these spaces when the state has camping grounds that are available to us for like $30 a day. We rented two sides, and each side can hold 100 people. We had that whole area. And there's one close enough to Columbus that once we start doing it, family, we can have a concert out there.
I really like that one. I wasn't at the other one, but that one that's by Allen Creek, that was dope.
That's dope. That one is dope. That's the dopest one. And then on top of that, with that space.
And you can go back there and fish.
Not only can you go back there and fish, you got that whole area. And what people don't understand is all the way out to the gate is yours for that time. So when you walk down towards the gate, I don't know if you remember driving towards the gate, it's a gate right there. All of that is yours. You even have the space up on top, all the way out into the water on the top of the dock, as well as the water that's right by you that you could fish. We could throw a concert there. I'm just saying. We can have any type of workshop we want for pennies on the dollar.
Well, Brother Hutchins, I'm gonna come off of the line, but I did want to say thank you so very much. I enjoyed the conversation so much. Please let me know when you all want to do the forum concerning, the sexual balance within our community. Please let me know, because that's something that I am very interested in, as well as you already know that I'm interested in the work that you're doing with boys and young men. That's my area too, but it's your area for natural purposes more so. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and I do talk about that work whenever I'm doing an interview or anything like that. I usually bring up your name and the work that you're doing in the community here in Columbus. So keep doing what you're doing. Y'all, I enjoy all of y'all's comments. I really enjoy task, staying on task more than anything, and I enjoy structure more than anything, because structure builds on top of foundation. And I look forward to us in the Black community doing more of that, because it also produces more results. So I thank you. I love y'all. I appreciate you, and y'all have a wonderful rest of the day.
Cool.
You too, sir. You too. I'm going to roll out too. I'm going to tune in for the rest of the show. And peace.
All right. Anybody else got any last words? Last words, because I'm about to shut down.
Yeah, I'm going to say my last words. I'm going to go have dinner. Good night, guys.
Wait, it's nighttime where you are?
Yeah, it's 6:36. It's time for me to eat dinner.
Family International. Shaka, you got any last words before we get up out of here?
Peace.
Peace, family. Thank you for joining us. I want to remind you, you are now listening to, have joined the Congregation of the Mighty. This is Gye-Nyame Journey Media. Thank you, Anime. This is a Heart of a Simple production. Of course, we have just finished the Daily Toast and Talk on the weekends, and we say it's a Heart of a Simple production. We strive to blow up your old paradigms, and we did the show exactly 2 hours and 30 minutes. Family, like and share. Let's build up the movement. We need to be toasting our ancestors. We need to be having conversations. You know what I'm saying? Conversations, disagreements, fallouts, and all that shit, so that we can go on and continue building. You know what I'm saying? All right. So who's somebody still on the line? Who on the line? What's going on? Who that? Oh, they still okay, cool. I thought, all right, but I'm about to hang up. And family, we strive to blow up your old paradigms. Explosion. What's kind of mighty? You just all you gotta do is explode. That's all. You can't explode. All right, peace out. Peace. Man, I'm not trying. I didn't talk to you. Biggest people.